All right, welcome everyone to today's show, Inflow TV Conversations. We have a great guest today, Taylor Backman. Welcome, Taylor.
Hey Dave, how's it going?
Awesome. Now, Taylor is special because a little over a year ago, when we first started Inflow TV, Taylor, you were the first guest on the show.
Yeah, yeah, I was. It was funny because I had to do that from my in-laws' house, and my father-in-law walked through the background as I was talking about the experiences of working at home, which I thought was really funny.
Oh, it was only right and fitting. Yeah. And only right and fitting that we have you on over a year later, right?
Yeah,
To give us some new updates on Zoho One, some major updates.
yeah, definitely. We have some very big updates, and we're really excited about them. Zoho One is what we call it, Zoho, the operating system for business. Everything an
Mm-hmm.
organization needs to run their entire business, 45 different applications across all of the major business functions from front office, back office, collaboration tools. Also, of course, baked in with a lot of really powerful capabilities like enterprise search, analytics, AI, all sorts of things that
Mm-hmm.
are needed for an entire organization right out of the box.
This is great. I was just going to ask you to give us a little context, but I think that's a good context as to what Zoho One is. So give people like sort of a picture and a frame of what you guys actually do there. Now, with Zoho One, with some of the new announcements, can you sort of talk or walk us through some of those announcements and the key highlights there?
Yeah. So, when we make these announcements, we add a lot of stuff. So these updates are pretty big. So I'll just try to touch on a few things because we're adding five new applications, four of which are brand new applications that Zoho is launching just in total, and those go across digital commerce. Remote collaboration and data preparation, something that's adding on to our BI platform. So there's a lot we could talk about just right there. We're
Yeah.
also updating some of these really great capabilities that we offer out of the box along AI, enterprise search, and on analytics. So just to give an example of what we're doing there, we are using natural language processing technology where users are able to ask requests or make requests in their natural language, just as they would to one of their colleagues. They can ask the computer in that kind of language for a particular kind of report they would like to see. That's something we've already had, but now you can just have a full-on conversation with the AI and really drill into
Mm-hmm.
the kinds of reports you're looking for. So that's like one example. We're bringing some of that technology also into our search, where you have a unified, actionable search across all of your business data. And we are rolling out piece by piece this ability to say something like, show me the emails from the VP of sales. And you can ask that
Mm-hmm.
question or make that request, whether you're in your CRM, your accounting tool, your document management system, wherever. Or you can ask, say, like, show me, customer support tickets closed last week, even if you're sitting
Yeah.
in your email or something. So a lot of really great capabilities that are coming out. And then all of these new updates are all being rolled out now in a brand new unified experience. And this is a unified user interface that will, just completely standardize the whole look, feel, and experience of using Zoho One across all of these applications, across all these really great capabilities.
Dude, that's great. And that's the key message right there. You mentioned unified experiences, and I think we've been hearing the word experience again thrown around a lot, right? As of
Yeah.
like whether it's employees or customer, and now even factoring in the entire ecosystem. How important is a unified platform, in improving people's experiences?
Yeah, it's really important. And when we think about unification, we think about doing this really at every level at which we're working. So starting
Mm-hmm.
from the data center to the databases, all the way up to minute details in the interface that the user is going to experience. So on our end, we think it's extremely important that every aspect of what we do is unified to provide a better outcome, to provide a better opportunity and chance for customers to find the success that they're looking for. And with that, right, that comes into what they're trying to unify, right? They're trying to unify all of their business data so that they can make use of it effectively. They're trying to unify customer experiences so their customers feel like they know them and like them, and that they're working hard for them. They're trying to unify employee experiences so that employees have if not a good time at work, at least not a bad time at work, right? Where when you're working, you're trying, when you're working, you're feeling like you're not having to do a bunch of monotonous tasks, that you can move smoothly from one thing to another. So being able to unify all of that has always been really important, but it becomes even more important when we talk about like the realities of remote work or hybrid work, or not being able to meet in person very often, or maybe a little more lately or something. But being able to bring the entire organization together to meet its common goals is really what unification is about. And we provide that unified system that helps enable organizations to do that, rather than worry about all of their particular software and how they're going to fit it together and make that the focus of what they're doing.
Yeah, and I think that's probably some of the beauty of what Zoe is doing. Where you don't want people to worry about too much of what's under the hood. It's whatever business workflow that they're in. It's like let them do their job and get their jobs done with as less friction as possible.
Exactly. I mean, our inspiration comes from your standard. I mean, maybe not at least super. Let me just say, our inspiration comes from just a electricity. The word is escaping me. It's not a manufacturer, but utility. There we go. Just an electricity utility. Nobody worries about how the electricity is made, really. Obviously, we want it to be green. We want things like that. But when it comes to the daily operations of how electricity is made, nobody really wants to think about that. They just want to be able to turn on the light switch and it works. And that is the same thing that we're trying to move software for as well. It's already being treated as a service. So why are there still so many difficulties to getting value out of it, or getting the full value out of what you're paying for? That's our question, and that's the kind of problem we're working on.
Yeah. And so what part does AI and machine learning play in that?
Yeah, I mean, that's a huge part of it, because ultimately, businesses are generating tons of data all the time, and all of that is something that they need to be able to bring together and make use of. And what AI and machine learning basically is allowing us to do is to do that work for the customer. If we have all these applications and we have this unified platform on this whole operating system, and all of this data is being generated across sales, marketing, accounting, etc., well, then it's up to us then to put that together for the customer and to do the kind of work that would be very difficult to do otherwise, and provide that just out of the box. So by having the data and having that technology that we're developing, it just allows us to take that element of software as a service even further, where we're adding just more and more value to what we can do as we're giving you the data that you already own.
Yeah, exactly. And what it's leading to, and what I'm hearing is that you're talking to context and to more of a contextual experience. And so can you speak to, I guess, how important that is as we talk about work and workflow?
Yeah, totally. Context and contextual experience is really, another way of kind of talking about what we're already, kind of talking about, I guess.
Yeah.
Where you want to be able to, make use of the data and the information as it makes the most sense to do it, or where it's the easiest place to do it, or the most convenient places to do it, right?
Yeah.
If to be able to access a particular piece of data, whether that's like an email or a customer record, if you have to, open a brand new system, re-log in, and then hunt around for 30 minutes before you can find that, that's not very helpful. But if you have
Right.
that data available right where you need it to be when you're working on the tasks that you're working on, then that's a very seamless experience. It's something that makes employees happy because their job is easier. They don't have to learn all these complicated tools and all the specific ways you have to use them. And don't hit that key because if you do that, you'll crash the entire system, etc. Right? So it makes it easy for employees. And then as employees are being enabled to get their work done more effectively, that translates into a better experience for customers because they get their emails responded to quicker. The person who talks to them is
Yeah.
in a better mood. It's easier for the person that's talking to them to focus on the conversation they're having rather than, this labyrinth of screens that they're trying to navigate, right? So contextual
Yeah. Yeah.
experiences is very important for the entire organization being able to do what they're trying to do in an easy and smooth way as you're bringing all of these different data together to connect all of these
Mm.
important processes.
Yeah. So as you talk about the services, then for users, the context then becomes a service that services.
Yeah, yeah, in many ways, yeah, exactly. I mean, being able just to create that context becomes that kind of that extra capability that gets layered on
Yeah.
top that you might not even think about. You might not even think of it
Mhm.
as a feature or as a particular new capability. Because ideally, when things are contextual and when experiences are correct, you don't really notice them. And this kind of goes back to my point about electricity and a utility. Nobody notices
Mhm.
electricity until when? Until it's not working. That's the only time you stop.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
the only time you realize it's there is when you're not able to use it. And that's what good technology should do. It should just run silently in the background and make it possible for you to do whatever you're trying to do.
Exactly. Get out of the way and provide the framework and the environment that I can manage my own experiences and have great experiences. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, exactly, totally.
Yeah. Now, are there any sort of customer examples you can share, of some of the benefits of the platform?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there's some different customers. There's a customer, for example, that we have called Arctic Spas. They make and sell and support high-end spas out of Canada. They have over
Mm.
350 employees. They sell through about 129 different dealerships. They jumped on Zoho One in 2018. They've since rolled out quite a few applications. They use Zoho One to do their sales. They don't have a sales team. So what they
Mm.
do is they use the CRM to automate lead distribution to all of their dealers. And that alone, when they were able to add that, saved them 40 hours of work a week, and
Wow.
brought around an increase of 480 grand in revenue by making
Hmm.
those changes. In addition to that, they've seen improvements in deal closure and all sorts of things. But it's not just the CRM that enables that. They've added a number of other
Hmm.
tools around customer support, customer service, email marketing, social marketing, web page optimization. They've integrated a Twilio, which is a service for SMS to do sales and
Yeah.
marketing, text messaging with their customers. They also are using something like our team communication platform called Click. And what's really great about that is, that's a multi-channel, like, does audio calls, video calls, one-to-one chats, one-to-many chats, group chats, all that kind of stuff. They've
Hmm.
created channels, chat channels with each of their dealers. And that's actually created really strong relationships with these external dealers that allow them to really have a good understanding of what's going on the ground with sales that are happening, what are problems that are occurring. And as they're getting that information and as they are able to work out solutions to those problems, they can then push that across all of these other
Hmm.
dealerships and anticipate that. So for them, a collaboration tool has really become a sales enablement tool. And we think that's a pretty good example of the expanding value of Zoho One, where you
Yeah.
start with something like CRM, but then you realize, well, there's all these other tools that we could be using, and these will fit in so well, and they'll strengthen these processes. And then before you know it, you're running a large, if not all, of your business on Zoho One.
That's awesome. In that example, you also talked about the integration of a Twilio, right? And
Yeah.
Twilio could be any other application or tool, But the fact that the platform is open enough to allow those integrations, it speaks to the level of context as a service, right? As we talk about,
Yeah,
that's possible because depending on what you have internally within your environment already, Zoho One doesn't kick that out. It works
t-
with, and
totally.
I think that's important. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, no, I mean, and that is a really a great point. Integration, third-party integration, and being able to work well with existing systems is a huge part of what we're doing because
mm,
we're not Zoho is not a very sales driven organization, so we're not very pushy. I mean, we're probably too passive, in fact, right? But as far
no
as
aggressive sales
things,
techniques here.
no, yeah, I mean, it's much more. I guess you can buy it if you want. I guess we can figure out a way to do that. Um, but I mean, for us, we're not trying to rip and replace other
Yeah,
vendors and other solutions. If things work great for a customer, then we want them to keep using that. So for
mm,
example, I mean, that same customer, Arctic Spas, they use a third-party POS system. They use a third-party accounting system, and we have our own accounting system. We're working on a POS system. We're not going to try to force
okay,
that on them, because
yeah,
in our opinion, we have to be able to work well with things that already work well. It would be a
right.
completely backwards thing to say, hey, we're trying to help your business. If things were working, throw it all out, right? I mean, that just doesn't make any sense. So we want to start with where,
Exactly.
where people are at and connect what we can into the existing tools they're already using and deliver value that way as well.
That's awesome. So, what are the next steps, I guess, for Zoho as set to execute on the new platform, all these new improvements and features?
Yeah, we have a lot of plans. As I said, when we make a big release, we're launching 5 applications. We have 3 updated services, brand new capabilities, a brand new interface that unifies everything. So obviously, that kind of work doesn't just happen overnight, and it requires a lot of effort happening at multiple levels. We have long-term R&D teams that are always working on new things, and as we're able to make
Hmm.
breakthroughs there, we try to find new and interesting ways to apply them across all of these different areas. We have
Yeah.
teams that focus specifically on different applications and then how those applications are going to work together and all of that. So there's quite a lot that we're planning to do in the next year, and I'm really
Okay.
excited about the direction. But the main thing is just creating that strong, unified operating system at every layer. From the very bottom
Yeah.
of to the infrastructure that no one thinks about, all the way up to those minute experiences, details that go into the experience. So, I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because we're seeing unprecedented, sort of move towards what we're calling, I guess, more hybrid work, right? Scenarios, and I think that's going to be probably the predominant, form or mode going forward. But more important than that is going to be how whatever mode of work, whether you're remote, in the office, what's going to allow you to be the most productive. What's going to allow you to have the most context to make the best decisions
Yeah,
in the
totally.
workplace.
Yeah, I totally agree, and I think that's really. I mean, obviously, the pandemic has been a very awful time, and it's been a very
Yeah.
challenging time for so many people, and there's been so many people who have passed away and everything, and it's really challenging there. I mean, at least as the way that business has had to adjust to that, I
Hmm.
think that it's kind of driven us, it's kind of accelerated us into an area that the market was already heading in, which is
Mm.
how are organizations going to be able to work in increasingly fragmented ways, right? But in a way that is more
Yeah.
unified and more, I don't want to say centralized, but is able to
Yeah.
form that core, right? That can connect
Hmm.
all of these different pieces. And the fragmentation has accelerated with hybrid work, with more and more mobile apps, with more and more
Yeah.
people just all over the place. But at the same time, the technology is actually enabling strong digital experiences that can unify the people within the organization, that can unify external partners with the organization, and then that can bring all that together to create these incredible experiences for customers that make them happy and, keep them buying, basically.
Absolutely, and that's the bottom line. It's what experiences can you not only create but give people the framework and the environment to manage their experiences, that they in turn do have great experiences. Whether they
Yeah.
be employees, customers, or partners within your ecosystem.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I totally agree.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Taylor. This has been great. A year later, we're still here
We're still here.
talking tech, right?
Yeah,
No,
yeah, it's been
to your
great.
point before, we are lucky. We are lucky to be able to do this.
Yeah, yeah, totally, totally. I really appreciate it, and I really appreciate you having me on, Dave. It's great to be a return guest as well. So I look forward to being back next time.
The inaugural guest.
Yeah, exactly.
Thanks, Taylor.
All right, see ya.
Awesome.